Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Speak English Daily. I'm Emma, and I'm glad you're here. I want to ask you something before we start. Have you ever found something that wasn't yours? On a train, on a park bench, on a table somewhere? A phone, a wallet, a set of keys? And you had to decide, what do I do with this? Today, I want to tell you about a morning. A morning that started very simply: coffee, a table, a laptop, when I found something much smaller than a wallet, a piece of paper, sitting on the edge of the table like it had been waiting. But what was on it changed my whole Saturday. This is a story about a note, about two people who stopped talking, and about what happened when someone found the words they couldn't say. Shadow me today. Say the words with me. This is important. Today's story has conversations in it. Real ones. Difficult ones. Shadow me through all of them. Feel how the words work in your mouth. Feel what it's like to say, "This is going to sound strange." Or, "I was scared of losing you." These are real sentences for real moments, out loud at the same time. Not just listening, speaking. Your mouth and your brain working together. And imagine you are the one who found the note. You are sitting in that cafe. What would you do? Let's find out. Saturday morning. Birchwood. A table by the window. A note someone left behind. And a small decision that changes everything. Before the story, let's warm up. Today, you will hear two kinds of English. The first, talking about yourself, who you are, where you're from, what you care about. The second, friendship language, making connections, keeping them, and what happens when something goes wrong. Say these with me, out loud, shadow me. Talking about yourself. I'm originally from New Jersey. I've been living here for about 3 years. I work as an English teacher. I'm a pretty quiet person. I care a lot about the people close to me. I'm not great at asking for help. I'm working on that. Friendship language. I'm new around here. We met a few years ago. We became really close. I haven't heard from her in months. I didn't know how to reach out. I should have said something sooner. I didn't mean what I said. Notice something. These phrases are simple, short, real, but they carry big things. Who you are, who you love, what you lost, what you wish you had said. Today's story is full of these phrases. You will hear them in a real context, not as a list. As a Saturday morning. Let's start the story. It was a Saturday morning in September. One of those mornings that don't announce themselves. No particular plan, no particular energy. Just a morning. Light rain, cool air. The kind of morning that makes you want to stay inside with a warm drink and nowhere to be. I had somewhere to be. A quiet place, a corner table, 2 hours with my laptop. That was the plan. I needed to finish some lesson plans for the week. New units starting Monday. I teach at the community center. 6 students, 6 different backgrounds. Every lesson a small puzzle. What do they need this week? I had been putting off this particular puzzle for 3 days. Today was the day. And my apartment was too quiet, too still, the kind of quiet that makes it hard to think. So I went to Birchwood. I have a routine when I go there. I always arrive before 10. I always order the same thing. I always take the table by the window if it's free. Not because I planned it that way, just habits form. And on Saturday mornings, this is mine. Birchwood is a coffee shop about 4 blocks from where I live. I've been going there since I moved to this neighborhood. It has become one of those places that feels like an extension of home. Not glamorous, just mine. Small, dark wood, big windows. The kind of place where people come to read, to work, to sit for a long time without feeling guilty about it. I ordered my usual, large coffee, black. The same order I have made maybe 100 times here. Jamie, though I didn't know his name then, had already started making it when I reached the counter. That is the kind of regular you become without meaning to. I looked for a table. Half full, unhurried, people with nowhere to be. Most of the seats were taken, but there was one table free, by the window. A small round table, 2 chairs. Rain on the glass outside. Perfect. I sat down. I opened my laptop. Today, I was going to actually do them. I was very confident about this. I put my coffee on the left side, like I always do. And then I noticed something on the table. A piece of paper. Sitting on the edge of the table, like it had been waiting. Folded once, cream-colored. Not a receipt, not a napkin. Someone had taken their time with this. That was already unusual. Someone had folded it carefully. I picked it up. It was light, not thick. One sheet of paper folded once. I held it for a second. I almost put it back. Maybe it was old, maybe it was nothing. On the front, in handwriting, blue pen, careful letters, the writing of someone who slows down when it matters. If you find this, please don't throw it away. I looked around. A couple near the door, a man with a book, 2 women with laptops, a child drawing on a napkin. Nobody seemed to be looking for anything. I turned the paper over. On the back, I think I made a terrible mistake. And below that, a name, Claire. I sat there for a moment. 2 lines, 15 words between them, and yet I could not put the paper down. The cafe kept going around me, people ordering, chairs scraping, someone laughing at the table near the door, and me sitting very still with a piece of paper. Who was Claire? Who was this for? Was it left here on purpose? By accident? I looked around again, more carefully this time. Every face, every table. Nobody. The cafe was full of people doing their Saturday things, reading, talking, looking at their phones. Nobody looked like someone who had just left a note. I should have given it to the barista and gone back to my laptop. That was the sensible move. You find something, you hand it in. Someone else deals with it. Done. I stood at the counter for a few seconds, holding the note. That would have been the sensible thing. Instead, I walked to the counter. "Excuse me," I said, "did someone leave this here?" The barista, a young man with dark hair and apron, he was wiping the counter. He looked up when I approached. Easy smile, the kind of person who is comfortable talking to strangers. Looked at the paper. He thought for a second. "Actually, yes." He lowered his voice. "A woman. She was sitting at that table for maybe 20 minutes. She seemed upset. She left pretty fast." "Do you know her?" He paused. "She's been coming in this week, a few times. Always sits alone." He looked at the note. He seemed to recognize it, or at least he was not surprised by it. Something shifted in his expression, like a small recognition, like he had been waiting for someone to ask about it. Then at me. "Actually, she asked me something before she left." The barista, his name was Jamie, I would find out later, leaned on the counter. "She asked if anyone named Rachel had been here. I didn't know a Rachel. I said so. I told him I had just sat down. I told him I had found the note on the table. I didn't know anything else." "Neither did I," Jamie said. "I told her I hadn't seen anyone by that name. She looked disappointed. Then she left." I looked down at the note. I unfolded it fully this time. I felt I should ask permission. But from whom? Claire was gone. Rachel wasn't here. So I read. There was more writing inside. I had only seen the first 2 lines. Near the bottom, in slightly smaller handwriting, "Rachel, if you ever read this." This wasn't a note left for whoever found it. This was a note for Rachel. Claire had written it for someone specific, someone she was hoping to find here. I looked at Jamie. She was looking for Rachel here, at this cafe. "Yeah," he said. She said something like, "Rachel used to come here every Saturday." Jamie thought for a moment. "Actually, I may know who she means. Claire used to come in with another woman sometimes. I never knew her name." I looked at the window. Rain on the glass, cars moving slowly. I thought, okay, what do I do with this? Rain was still falling outside. A few people walking past with umbrellas. Something small was forming in my mind. A question that I probably shouldn't have asked. "What time is it now?" 10:17, Jamie said. Saturday, 10:17. The question was already forming before I finished the thought. If Rachel came here every Saturday morning, she might still come today. I sat back down at the table by the window. I put the note on the table. I looked at it. There was a decision happening. I could feel it. Not a big decision. A small one. The kind that doesn't feel important until later. I did not open my laptop. I held the note. I want to tell you something about this moment. I thought about just putting the note on the counter and leaving. Someone else would deal with it. But I kept thinking about what Claire had written. I think I made a terrible mistake. That line. I have written that sentence before, not with a pen, in my head, about different things at different times. It's a hard sentence to carry. And somehow, I didn't want to just walk away from it. This is the thing about certain words. They find you, not because you were looking for them, but because you needed them, even if you didn't know it yet. So I stayed, and I read the rest of the note. The note wasn't long, maybe 150 words. I read it twice, once quickly, once slowly. And the second time, I started to understand what had happened. Not from the outside, from the inside. Like when a story stops being someone else's and starts being also yours. Claire and Rachel had been friends. Not the kind of friends who see each other occasionally, the kind who become part of your daily rhythm, the kind you call when something happens. Good or bad, big or small. Close friends, the kind that takes years to build. They had met a few years earlier. Claire had moved to the city for work. Rachel had come for similar reasons. They met through a mutual friend neither knew well. One of those introductions that could have been nothing, but wasn't. Both of them had moved to this city around the same time. Both were new. Both were a little lost. The note described it simply, in Claire's handwriting, careful, honest, the kind of writing that takes its time. We were both new here, and being new is hard, but it's easier when you meet someone who is also figuring things out. I know this feeling. I moved to this city 3 years ago. I didn't know many people. I was figuring out my job, my neighborhood, what to do on weekends when you have nobody to call. That is a particular kind of loneliness. Not dramatic, just quiet. For Claire and Rachel, meeting each other changed that completely. The note said, "You made this city feel like somewhere I actually belonged." A simple sentence, but if you have ever been new somewhere, you know how much it means. They went to this cafe. They went hiking on the weekends. They helped each other move apartments. They talked for hours about everything: their jobs, their families, their dreams, what kind of people they wanted to be. The note described a Saturday morning like this one. I liked this detail. It felt close, almost too close. Here I was, sitting at the same table, with a coffee, with rain outside, reading about the same thing. Both of them at a table by the window, coffee, rain outside, Claire saying, "Tell me something I don't know about you." And Rachel saying, "I want to travel more. I want to live somewhere I've never been. I feel like I'm always planning for someday, and someday never comes." And Claire saying, "Then stop planning and just go." I sat with this for a moment, because this was where the story turned. Everything before, warmth. Everything after, a question. Because the note then skipped forward, not gradually, with a single line. And then Rachel got an offer. A job in another city. A good one. The kind of opportunity that comes once. And Claire, who had told Rachel to stop planning and just go, didn't say that this time. I'll be honest with you. I have a tendency to understand things in my head before I understand them in my heart. Reading the next part of the note, both happened at once. What happened next in the note was not complicated to understand, but it was complicated to feel. When Rachel told Claire about the job offer, Claire's first reaction was not congratulations. Her first reaction was, "You're leaving." And instead of saying the true thing, the scared thing, "I'm going to miss you so much," She said something else. The note didn't write the exact words of their argument, but it wrote the truth beneath them. I was angry because I was scared of losing you. I said things I didn't mean. I made you feel guilty for something you should have been proud of. I read that twice because I understood it. Claire wasn't angry at Rachel. She was proud of her. She knew this was the right thing for Rachel. But knowing something is right and feeling okay about it are two very different things. She was scared of losing her. And sometimes when we are scared, we don't say, "I'm scared of losing you." We say something else, something sharp, something we can't take back. Rachel had been hurt. She left for the new city feeling like Claire didn't want her to go, like her own happiness was a problem. Claire had been left feeling like she had ruined everything. So Claire wrote messages, maybe 10, maybe 20, over weeks, late at night, early in the morning, in the middle of other things, when the thought of Rachel came back, and deleted them. I'm sorry. Delete. Can we talk? Delete. I didn't mean what I said. Delete. Nothing was ever sent. She sat with the phone. She looked at the words. She pressed delete. Again and again and again. Until it felt too late to say anything at all. A week passed, then a month. The way time passes when you are waiting for something you're not sure will come, fast and slow at the same time. Then, 6 months. Let me ask you something. This is the kind of moment that happens in real friendships, not the easy moments, the hard ones. Say this with me, out loud, right now. I didn't mean what I said. I was scared. I should have said something sooner. These are not easy sentences to say, but they are the real ones, the ones that matter. Okay, back to Claire, because this is where I want you to pay attention. This part of the story is simple, but very human. As time went by, Claire started to believe something that wasn't true. She started to think, maybe Rachel doesn't want to hear from me. Maybe she's angry. Maybe it's too late. And the longer she waited, the harder it became to reach out. Have you ever felt this way? You want to say something, you know what you want to say, but you wait. And the waiting makes it harder, and the harder it gets, the longer you wait. The longer you wait, the harder it gets, until one day you don't reach out at all, and the friendship just goes quiet. Near the end of the note, Claire wrote, "The handwriting was messier here, faster, more urgent, like she was writing against herself before she changed her mind. I don't know if you'll ever read this. I don't know if you come here anymore, but you told me once that Birchwood was your favorite place in the city, so I'm leaving this here, because I didn't know where else to start." I put the note down. I looked out the window. The rain had slowed a little, people walking past without umbrellas now. I thought about Claire. I tried to picture her, sitting in this exact seat, writing or maybe just carrying this note, leaving it on the table, standing up, walking to the door, not looking back. She had come to this cafe this morning. She had sat at this exact table. She had brought this note here. She had left it here. That took courage. She didn't know if Rachel still came here. She didn't know if anyone would find the note. She didn't know if it would make any difference. She did it anyway. Not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind. The kind that says, I don't know if this will work, but I'm going to try anyway. Say this with me. These are phrases of courage. Say them like you mean them. I'm not sure it will work, but I'm going to try anyway. Good. Now let's talk about me for a moment. I'm a pretty private person. I have a few people I trust completely. I have a neighborhood I know well. I don't usually do things like this. Stand in a cafe, waiting for a stranger, holding a note that isn't mine. But some things ask you to be different, and you say yes before you understand why. I'm not someone who gets involved in other people's situations easily. I like to mind my own business. I care a lot about people, but from a comfortable distance. And yet, here I was, sitting in a cafe on a Saturday morning, holding someone else's note, reading their private words, thinking about two people I had never met. Lesson plans completely forgotten. My coffee was cold, my laptop was still closed, and somehow I didn't mind at all. I looked at Jamie behind the counter. He caught my eye and raised an eyebrow, as if to say, well? I made a decision. Not a plan, not a strategy, just, I'm going to stay and see what happens. Jamie, I said, she said Rachel used to come here every Saturday. Yeah. Today is Saturday. He looked at the door, then back at me. You want to wait and see if she shows up? I nodded. Okay, he said. He almost smiled. More coffee? I sat back down at the table by the window. The rain kept falling. The cafe kept going. And I started to think. I got a second coffee, and I thought about what I was doing. Was this a reasonable thing? To wait in a cafe for a stranger in order to give her a note from someone else? Probably not. I'm a practical person. I like plans. I like things to be clear. I don't usually do things without knowing why. But I kept coming back to one line from the note. One line, out of all of them. I was angry because I was scared of losing you. That is such a human thing, to push away the thing you're afraid to lose, to hurt someone because you're hurting, to say nothing when you should say something, and then to live with it for months, wondering if it's too late. I know something about that feeling. There are people I meant to call, conversations I kept putting off until enough time passed that it felt strange to start. There are people in my life I wish I had stayed in touch with. A friend from college I drifted away from. A neighbor from my old apartment who moved away. I meant to call. I meant to write. I didn't. And then enough time passed that it started to feel strange to reach out. There is no such thing as too long. I believe that. I don't always live by it, but I believe it. Say this with me. These are the phrases for the hard moments, the ones that need the most courage. I meant to call. I should have kept in touch. I didn't know how to start. These are real sentences for real situations. Okay, back to the cafe. I had a second coffee. I watched the door. 10:45, 11, 11:15. Different people came in. None of them seemed to be Rachel. Not that I knew what Rachel looked like. I just watched and waited. Around 11:30, I started to feel a little silly. I had been sitting here for over an hour. My third coffee was getting cold. People had come and gone. The cafe had filled up and thinned out again. And no Rachel. I didn't know Rachel. She might not come today. She might never come again. She might have already moved on from this cafe, from the city. I picked up the note. Claire's handwriting, her words, a piece of her courage left on a table. I folded it again. I put it in my jacket pocket. I was about to stand up, and then Jamie said, not loudly, just clearly, "Wait." I looked up. Jamie was looking at the door. A woman had just walked in. The door was still swinging behind her. She was maybe 30, dark jacket, wet from the rain. She shook out her umbrella at the entrance. She looked around the cafe, the way you do when you're looking for a seat or for someone you might recognize. Jamie caught my eye. He gave a very small nod. I stood up slowly. I pushed back the chair. I straightened my jacket. I took a breath. Okay, this was the moment. I had not thought about what I was going to say. I had been sitting here for over an hour, thinking about Claire, about Rachel, about the note, about whether this was a good idea. I had not once thought about the actual words. I had been so focused on waiting that I hadn't prepared for actually talking. She had found a table near the back. She was taking off her jacket. She looked like someone who was used to being here. The way she moved through the cafe, comfortable, familiar. I walked over. 4 steps, maybe 5. 5 steps and, "Excuse me." My heart was going a little fast. Not because I was scared. More like the feeling before you do something you know is slightly unusual. A good kind of unusual. Just because this was unusual. Approaching a stranger in a cafe and saying, "I have something for you." Something a person you know left here. Something they weren't sure you'd ever read. I stood next to her table. She looked up. "Excuse me, are you Rachel?" She looked at me for a moment. "Yes, why?" Okay, here we go. I said the sentence I had been thinking about. This is going to sound strange. She waited. "I found something on that table this morning. I think it was meant for you." I took out the note. I held it toward her. She looked at it. She didn't take it yet. "What is it?" "A note. Someone left it here." "Who?" I said the name. Just that. One word. Claire. Rachel went very still. She looked at the note for a long moment. Not at me, at the note. I understood this. Some things you look at before you can look at the person who gave it to you. Then she reached out and took it. Her hands were very careful with it, the way you handle something you recognize. She looked at the handwriting. She turned it over. She opened it. I stood there, not sure if I should stay or go. I had done what I came to do. I had found Rachel. I had given her the note. My part was done, wasn't it? Not sure if this was my moment or hers. She read it, the whole thing, without looking up. I watched her face change. Page by page, almost, her expression moving through something. Recognition, then understanding, then something quieter. Just something softened. Something that had been held very tightly let go. Just a little. When she finished, she looked up at me. I was still standing, still holding the edge of the chair, not sitting, not leaving, just there. Where did you find this? That table by the window, when I sat down this morning. She looked at the table. And you waited for me? I felt a little embarrassed then. Jamie, the barista, he mentioned you sometimes come here Saturdays. I just thought, maybe. She looked at me for a moment, then at Jamie. Jamie gave a small wave from behind the counter. Rachel almost smiled. Almost. Claire thinks I'm angry with her, Rachel said, quietly, more to herself than to me. I think so, I said. That's what the note suggests. I'm not. I didn't say anything. I was hurt, she said, at first. The way she reacted when I told her about the job. It felt like she was angry at me for doing something good for myself. But I never thought she was a bad person. I always knew she was scared. I just didn't know what to do with that. She folded the note again. She held it in both hands. I tried to reach out to her, she said, after I moved, a few times. Her number had changed. I asked around, but nobody had her new number. After a while, I stopped trying. I thought she didn't want to hear from me. Both of them. Both of them had been reaching for each other, but their hands were going in different directions, and they never quite connected. All it would have taken was one person saying, "Here, I'm still here." And missing. All this time. Almost a year. Both of them waiting. Both of them assuming. Rachel sat down. The note was between us. Claire's words, on the table, in a cafe where Claire had hoped Rachel would come. She gave me a small gesture toward the chair. "Sit," she said quietly. I sat down across from her. I felt like a person at the edge of someone else's story, a supporting character, someone who appears for one scene and then disappears. Which is exactly right. This was not my story, but I was glad to be in it. Not the main character, but not quite outside it either. A misunderstanding, I said, both thinking the other didn't want to connect. Rachel nodded. I kept Claire's email somewhere, an old one. I could try. She took out her phone. She scrolled for a moment. I looked out the window while she searched. The cafe had filled up more since the morning. Weekend people, late risers, couples with strollers, pairs of friends. The ordinary Saturday world going about its ordinary Saturday business. The rain had stopped. That particular September morning light. Gray, but not sad. Soft. The kind that makes everything look considered. I thought about what Rachel had said. I always knew she was scared. I just didn't know what to do with that. These are important sentences, not just for this story, for any close relationship. Sometimes the most caring thing is to say, I saw it. I understood. I just didn't know how to do. That is not failure. That is just how hard it is. Say this with me. I understood, but I didn't know what to say. I saw it. I just didn't know how to help. I knew. I just didn't know how to start. Rachel looked up from her phone. I found an email for her, an old one. I don't know if it still works. Try it, I said. She typed something short. Her fingers moved quickly, like she didn't want to give herself time to hesitate. She showed me the screen before she sent it. It said, Claire, I'm at Birchwood. Are you still in the city? Simple. No explanation, no long apology, just, I'm here. Are you? She pressed send. Just like that. After a year of silence, 6 words in an email. We both looked at the phone. Nothing. Of course, nothing yet. It had been 3 seconds. Rachel laughed a little. I keep checking like it's going to change in the next second. Me too, I said. We both laughed. At ourselves. At the situation. At the absurdity of watching a phone and expecting a reply in 3 seconds. The kind of laugh that clears something out. Light, brief, but real. And just like that, I stopped feeling like a stranger at the edge of someone else's story. We ordered coffee, both of us. Jamie brought them over without being asked. He set them down quietly. He didn't say anything, he just was there. I appreciated that about him. Good baristas understand the room. He raised an eyebrow at me. I gave him a small nod. Rachel and I talked about small things at first. The neighborhood, the cafe, how long we'd each been in the city, what we liked about it, what we found hard. And then, slowly, the bigger things appeared. I told her I was an English teacher. She told me she worked in design. She had moved back to this city 6 months ago. After the new city didn't work out the way I hoped. But I learned a lot, she said. I learned what I actually want. I liked that. I have met people who tell their whole life story in the first 10 minutes, and people who make everything sound perfect. Rachel did neither. She was just honest, in a simple way. I liked the honesty of it. I learned what I actually want. Not everything was great. Not it was a mistake. Just I learned. She asked about me. I told her I'm originally from New Jersey. I told her what I do, what I like about the city, what I find hard. It felt easy to talk to her, the way some conversations do, where you don't have to explain yourself too much, where the other person just follows. I've been in this city for about 3 years. I like it here. I am still figuring it out. I care a lot about the people around me, sometimes more than I know what to do with. She smiled at that, a quiet smile, the kind that says, "Me too." I didn't need to explain further. That sounds familiar. Around 12:30, her phone moved on the table. We had been talking for over an hour. I had completely forgotten that we were waiting for something. That's what a good conversation does. It takes over, and you forget to check the time. She grabbed it. She looked at the screen. Her face changed. It was a small change, but I was watching. A brightness, sudden, the way someone looks when they hear something they needed to hear. She replied. I didn't ask what Claire said. That message was theirs, between them. I looked out the window instead. The street outside. A cyclist going past. A couple with a dog. That was not mine to know. Rachel typed something back, quickly. Then she looked up at me. She's near here. She wants to come. Something moved in my chest, the quiet version of relief. Go tell Jamie. He'll want to know. Rachel laughed, a real one. She got up and went to the counter. I heard her telling Jamie, the voice of someone hearing news they had stopped expecting. I heard him say, "Seriously?" And then something else I couldn't make out. 25 minutes later, the door opened. I had almost stopped expecting it, but there she was. A woman came in, brown coat, hair a little damp. She stopped just inside the entrance. She scanned the cafe. Her eyes found Rachel. Rachel stood up, like her body knew before her mind did. They looked at each other across the cafe. Not running, not dramatic. Just two people in the same room again after a long time apart. Working out how to be. Working out what comes next. Just looking. The way you look at someone when you have been wondering about them for a long time. Then Claire walked over. 2 feet apart, then 1. Neither of them spoke for a moment. Claire said, "Hi." Rachel said, "Hi." Claire, I don't really know what to say. Then start with coffee. Claire smiled, and something in the room shifted. Just something loosened, something that had been held tight for a long time. A small smile, the kind that means, okay, the kind that means, I'm nervous, the kind that means, yes, let's start with coffee. Coffee I can do. They sat down, across from each other, the way you sit with someone you have a lot to say and don't know where to start. I looked at them for a moment. Two people who had known each other for years and were now sitting with all that time between them, starting again, from coffee. Then I picked up my bag. I caught Rachel's eye. Rachel mouthed, "Thank you." I nodded and walked to the door. I passed Jamie on the way. He looked up. He gave me a nod. Two people acknowledging something without needing to say it. That was enough. Outside, the rain was completely gone. It had been raining when I arrived. Now, sun. That sharp September light that comes after a morning of cloud. Everything a little brighter than usual. September light. Clear now. The city going on, as cities do. I walked home slowly, past the park, past the corner store, past the apartment building where an old neighbor used to live. I thought, I should reach out to her. Maybe I will. That morning, I had gone to the cafe to do some work. I came home much later than I planned. My lesson plans were not finished, but somehow the morning didn't feel wasted at all. I thought about what I'd learned. I thought about Claire, writing a note, not knowing if it would ever matter. It mattered. I thought about Rachel, choosing to reply, choosing to show up. It mattered. Not in a lesson plan way, in the way that stays with you. Not vocabulary, not grammar, something else. Two people who cared about each other had both been waiting for the other to start, both afraid to reach out, both convinced the other didn't want to hear from them. All it took was a note, a table by a window, and someone who decided not to walk away. Sometimes the hardest conversations don't need perfect words. They just need someone to start. Or sometimes they need someone to find a note on a table and decide not to throw it away. Let's practice. Say these with me, out loud. Shadow me. Talking about yourself, who you really are. I'm originally from New Jersey. I've been living here for about 3 years. I'm a pretty private person. I care a lot about the people close to me. I'm not great at asking for help. I'm working on that. I'm still figuring things out. Friendship, making connections and keeping them. I'm new around here. We met a few years ago. We became really close. She always knew me well. We used to talk for hours. I haven't heard from her in months. I missed her more than I expected. When things go wrong, the harder phrases. I didn't mean what I said. I was scared of losing you. I should have said something sooner. I didn't know how to reach out. I kept waiting for the right moment. I'm sorry it took so long. Starting again. Brave sentences. This is going to sound strange. I found something I think belongs to you. I'm not sure it will work, but I'm going to try. Start with coffee. Notice the arc. Who you are, who you love, what went wrong, and how you start again. That arc, that is not just a story. That is a life skill, and now you have the English for it. Your turn. Think about someone in your life. A friend, a colleague, a family member, someone you've lost touch with, or someone you want to know better. Tell me about them. Start with, there's someone I know, or I used to be close with. Take your time, simple words, real person. Good. Now, is there something you haven't said to them? Something that is still sitting with you? Waiting? Something you've been waiting to say? Try it. Out loud. Right now. Even just, I miss you. I should have called. I'm sorry it's been so long. That was real English, about a real person, the kind of English that actually matters. Today, we sat in a cafe on a rainy Saturday morning. We did not plan to be there long. We planned coffee, laptop, 2 hours. We stayed much longer than we planned and didn't mind at all. We found something on a table and we made a small decision to stay, to wait, to try. All of it in English, all of it real. The note, the cafe, the waiting. The moment Rachel read Claire's words, the moment Claire walked through the door. Start with coffee. 3 words, and they were enough. You learned how to talk about yourself today, through Emma, through Claire, through Rachel, through what they lost, and how they found each other again. Not the surface version, the real one. And you learned friendship language, not just how to make friends, but how to find them again when you've drifted apart. I'll be back next Monday. New story, new hour. Until then, if there's someone you've been meaning to reach out to, think about Claire. She wrote a note. She left it on a table, not knowing if it would ever reach anyone. It did. Don't wait for the perfect words. Just start with something small. A message, a note, a coffee. This is Emma from Speak English Daily, the woman who went to the cafe to do her lesson plans and came home with something better. Good night wherever you are.